So, last week, I told you guys about how I met my wife when I was traveling through India. I think that's what you guys want to hear. You want to hear how an old guy like myself can meet a young, beautiful woman and have her fall in love with me. Well, I've got another one for you. This one takes place in Thailand, and it involves a 22-year-old woman and myself at the age of 65. All right, let's go back to Thailand in 2014. I had been going to Thailand, probably every year for about 10 years by that time. Usually I would just go over and spend a couple of weeks in Bangkok, but this particular year I decided to do something different. So I flew into Bangkok, and then I took a train up to Chiang Mai. Now, if you don't know where Chiang Mai is, it's up north in Thailand. It's kind of known as the backpacker capital of Thailand. That's where all the young people go. They go there to get their fill of cheap beer meet other travelers, and maybe take a trip to the border and visit the Golden Triangle where you can buy all kinds of stuff that will make your hair turn green. So I arrived in Chiang Mai, and I was staying at a hotel near the night market. And every night I would go down there and walk around and look at the crap they were selling. One night I stopped at one of the food stalls and I bought some noodles. The lady who took my order was very attractive. She wasn't Thai, she was actually from the Philippines. Her name was Jen, and she was working at this little food stall to save money so she could go back home to the Philippines and buy some land. She said she wanted to grow rice on it and live a simple life. We started talking and we talked for hours. When I first started talking to her, I thought she was about 25 or 26. But later on, I found out she was only 22. Now keep in mind that my daughter at that time was about the same age. She just graduated from college. In fact, she graduated the same week that I met Jen. We exchanged numbers, and the next night I went back to the market and I looked for her stall and I found her and I asked her if she wanted to have dinner with me, and she said yes. We went to a restaurant and we had dinner and we started dating. So every night we would meet up at the night market and we would hang out and talk, and we really hit it off. We were together every night for about 3 weeks. We saw all the major tourist spots in Chiang Mai. We went to the elephant sanctuaries. We went to the orchid farm. We went to the butterfly farm. She even arranged for me to meet her friends and her family back in the village where she grew up. Her family was very nice to me, and they treated me like one of their own. And I was very lucky because her grandmother spoke English very well. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to communicate with them because my Thai is very limited. I mostly just say hello and thank you and how much do things cost. The whole time we were hanging out together, she kept telling me how much she liked me and how she had never met a nice old man like me. She said she usually dated young guys who were jerks, and they didn't treat her with respect. But she said she liked me because I was old, and I knew what I wanted, and I wasn't hesitant to tell her. She said she liked that about me. I'll admit I was hesitant at first because of the age difference, but then I started thinking to myself, why not? What did I have to lose? I'm 65 years old, and I'm not getting any younger, and here I am in Thailand, where most of the women are very attractive, and this one happens to be 22. And she likes me. What did I have to lose? So I started dating her seriously, and we were together for about a month. We went swimming at the hotel pool. We went to the hot springs up in the mountains. We did everything. One night I asked her if she wanted to go back to my hotel room, and she said sure. So we went back to my hotel room, and we watched movies, and we snuggled on the bed, and we kissed. At that point, I was totally in love with her. I couldn't believe a woman as beautiful as Jen would go out with an old guy like me. But here we were, watching movies in my hotel room, and I couldn't help myself. I started kissing her, and she started kissing me back, and then I went down and started kissing her neck, and then I started feeling my way down south. All of a sudden she says, "No, no, no." I said, "What?" She says, "No touching." I said, "Why not? We're alone in my hotel room. Nobody can see us." She said, "I'm sorry, but my body is not for rent." I said, "What?" She said, "My body is not for rent." And then she started crying, and then she ran out of my room. And I sat there wondering what the hell just happened. Did I say something wrong? Was I too rough with her? Am I losing her? I mean, I didn't want to lose her. I was falling in love with this girl. About 30 minutes later, her friend came over to my hotel room and I asked him, "What did I do? Why is she crying?" He said, "You did nothing wrong." He said, "Jen doesn't sleep with men, just for the fun of it. She sleeps with a man only if she's going to marry him." I thought to myself, "Oh shit, that's bad." He said, "Jen is a virgin and she wants to save herself for the man she's going to marry." I said, "Is that why she's crying?" He said, "Yes, she really likes you, but she's afraid if she sleeps with you, that will happen." I said, "Tell her I'll marry her." He said, "Okay, I'll tell her you'll marry her, but you better mean it." I said, "Of course I mean it. I'm in love with the girl." He went back to Jen and told her that I would marry her, and then she came over to my hotel room, and we started talking, and she told me that she really liked me, and she never thought that an old man like me would want to marry a young girl like her. And then she started crying again, and I said, "What's wrong now?" She said, "It's just that I'm so happy that you want to marry me, but I have one condition." I said, "What's that?" She said, "You must agree to impregnate me before we get married." I said, "What?" She said, "I don't want to sleep with a man who isn't going to marry me. But if I get pregnant, then I know you'll marry me because I'll have proof that we made love." I thought to myself, "Oh shit, that's even worse than what I thought it was going to be." But I really loved this girl. I mean, I was crazy about her. So I said, "Okay, you can get pregnant." So the next night we went back to my hotel room, and we made love. Then, a few days later, she went home to visit her family, and I didn't see her for about 2 weeks. When she came back, we started talking about getting married. We talked about where we were going to live. We talked about what kind of life we were going to have. She said she wanted to live in Thailand, and I said, "Okay, that's fine with me." So we were looking forward to starting our life together. Then one day, she disappeared. I couldn't find her anywhere. Her phone was turned off and nobody knew where she was. I was freaking out. I was thinking, maybe somebody kidnapped her. Maybe she's gone back to the Philippines. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. Finally, I tracked her down to her friend's house, and I went over there, and I knocked on the door, and her friend answered, and I asked him, "Where's Jen?" He said, "She's inside." I said, "Can I talk to her?" He said, "No, she doesn't want to talk to you." I said, "Why not?" He said, "She's embarrassed because she's pregnant." I said, "What? How long has she been pregnant?" He said, "A couple of weeks. It turns out that she was pregnant when she first came over to my hotel room, but she didn't tell me because she didn't know if she could trust me. But when I told her I was going to marry her, she felt more comfortable, and she told me. I was angry, and I was disappointed. I thought I was doing the right thing by marrying her, but I guess I was wrong. I went back to my hotel room and I cried myself to sleep. The next morning I woke up and I started thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Do I tell my wife that I'm getting a divorce, or do I keep it a secret? I didn't know what to do. So I called up Jen's friend and I asked him, what am I supposed to do? He said, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. So now I'm stuck in Thailand with a pregnant 22-year-old girlfriend, and I don't know what to do. I feel like a total asshole, like I'm taking advantage of this poor girl, and I don't know what to do. So if you're in a similar situation, please tell me, what would you do? Would you marry her? Would you send her back home to the Philippines? Would you leave her alone and let her figure it out on her own? Please let me know what you would do, because I'm in a tough spot and I need all the advice I can get. Okay? Class dismissed. See you next week.